Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Why in the world would we talk about that? Because horseshoes and hand grenades mentality is a bit how we've looked at soil fertility 15 and 20 years ago. Think back to 20 years ago before we really started soil sampling. We took that hand grenade mentality out to the country. We threw something out at the field knowing that there was areas that it was okay for, areas that it was pretty wrong, and areas that it was pretty right for. So we evolved. And 15 years ago, as we began to evolve our soil sampling program, we took more of that horseshoes mentality. We threw stuff out there realizing there were going to be a few misses, but the way that we evolved, we were also going to get some leaners and some ringers that meant we had wins out there. So, as we've looked at the way that things have evolved, we need to start looking at things with more of a golf mentality. In golf, the only thing that matters is getting that 2-inch ball into that cup. Nothing else counts for any points. As we get better with our soil sampling methods, that's what we need to strive for, is the golf mentality when it comes to soil sampling. I'm Keith Byerly, Precision Ag Manager at Central Valley Ag, and this is your Precision Focus that corresponds with my article on the CVA blog site. So today I'm going to do something that I normally try to avoid. I normally try to include everybody when we talk about these topics, but today I'm going to ask for those of you that are in a zone sampling program to pay special attention. For those of you that sample grid style, I don't want you to check out. Please stick with me and come along for the ride. The truth of the matter is that zones have evolved more in the last 15 years than grids have. We've gone from the olden days when we used the soil survey books to define those lines for our zones to more advanced times. As technology has gotten better with satellites and our in-field sensors have gotten better, we've gotten better maps year after year that let us define areas of the field more and more accurately to make better zones. But at the end of the day, we still face a bit of a conundrum when it comes to the zone sampling mentality. There are two trains of thoughts. Train number one says that zones need to be defined by our soil. And really, when we talk about soil, there's only three ways to talk about it. You're either got a high water holding capacity, an average water holding capacity, or a low water holding capacity on your field. You could talk about sand, silt, and clay, but at the end of the day, those are talking about the same things. So that's camp number one. Camp number two is over here talking about yield being the determining factor for developing our zones, or plant matter being the developing factor. We have a much wider scale in how many zones we can break things down to when we look at that, but at the end of the day, that's part of the story. And both of these stories need to come together to put together the entirety of the story. This is where software has been failing us up until now. We didn't have a software that let us have both the high resolution in-field imagery and in-field maps along with the soil stuff there. Field Reveal finally lets us bring all of that together and start to talk about what we're calling advanced zones. When we have the ability to layer those two things together, we go from a single determining factor, soil or yield, to multiple determining factors helping us define more areas of your field that are homogeneous and more areas of the field that are different, and making sure that we dial that down. Because at the end of the day, we have to continue to adopt technology to get better at this. So this is what I want you to do while you're out in the fields here the next few weeks. Look across stuff and ask myself, what determines this field? Is it soil or is it yield? And I think if you're honest, more often than not, the answer is going to be a combination. If the answer is a combination of both, I want you to talk to your FSAs and your ACS regional specialists about advanced zones and if that's the right solution for your farm going forward.